guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled Elderly Fellow Tenant Demands My Pay Card. Background: I have EBT, also known as SNAP, or food stamps, because I am disabled. Back in 2017, when I moved into an apartment building in town, I'm walking back from a drugstore, think Rite Aid, or CVS. This lady, a tenant of the same building, stops me and starts giving me this sob story about how her oldest son just died, and he was the one buying her groceries, and she has not eaten in 3 days. Now, she looked to be in her early 80s, and while it looked like a stiff breeze could tip her, she did not look malnourished. Anyways, I did feel bad, and I'm a sucker, so I offered to walk with her to the drugstore. They carried frozen food and snacks, or for her to give me a short shopping list. No problem, I think to myself, I can just eat smaller portions for a month. Clearly, it was a big problem for her. She starts declining my offers and keeps asking for me to give her my EBT card and PIN. I can go with you, is met with, no. I like to be independent. Give me your card? If you give me a list, is met with, this is the only time I leave my apartment. Give me your card? I am not giving you my card, is met with, word for word, a repeat of her whole spiel. About how she's starving and needs food, and her children are dead. Now, I'm gullible and giving, well, I used to be, but I'm not giving someone who stopped me in the street my sole means to afford food every month. She follows me back towards the apartment building, wailing about how she needs food so badly, only to stop following when we get to the parking lot. A week later, a different fellow tenant is meeting us. Made cookies to welcome me and my roommate. Nice lady. I mention the crazy lady demanding my EBT card, and this tenant, without even blinking, replies with, she tries that with every new tenant. Half the building has restraining orders against her because she demands debit and credit cards from everyone. She has not been removed because she's in her 80s and her kids won't talk to her. Neither one of them is dead. I can't imagine what it would have been like, growing up under a woman like that. The next story is titled House-Sitting Beggar with Peculiar Ideas. So, my first post in here. This story is from April this year and I'm still baffled every time I'm thinking about it. Professor asks if someone could do house-sitting while they travel overseas for 4 months. That included taking care of chickens and turkeys in the backyard. So far so good. I could have used the place to stay and would have happily changed my 5-minute commute to my lab to a 25-minute one. Was in the process of moving out from my current place at that time and my wife and former roommate didn't get along well. Overall, sounded like a win-win situation. Couple emails later I'm visiting their place to go through things and what needs to be done in the house while they're gone. As expected, regular work with the poultry and I would need to come by at least 4 days a week if I wouldn't stay there. Till there everything seemed fairly normal, till there. I mean, who doesn't like free fresh eggs? Then he says, I'd be welcome to stay there while they're gone, but it would be appreciated if I could then see that the garden stays in decent condition and stuff. I'd also be welcome to use the pool and other things. How much I'd be able to pay per month. Even said that they initially had looked to get the house leased to a family for the duration of the trip. Wonder how many families are looking to get a sublease for 10 weeks at full price. I answered that A, as he would know, I'm just a grad student and my income is fixed and not much, as well as B, my current lease was still running and I would still need to pay rent there. So I wasn't sure if I could pay anything in the first place. They said they'd think about it but would otherwise be happy to have me watch the house. 2 days later, 10 days before they'd leave in the trip, I get a text. They ask me for $500 a month, and while they would keep the utilities in their name, that I pay for what I use during my stay in the house too. I simply answer that I wouldn't be comfortable to commit to an agreement that I was sure I wouldn't be able to afford. While I'm always happy to help, other people pay house and pet sitters for their service. This one wanted to get paid by me to watch his house, feeding and taking care of the poultry, watering the garden, keeping things clean, taking the longer drive to work, show up there multiple times a week. I feel really sorry for the poor soul that probably ended up actually paying them for the service they do. The next story is titled No, Not Driving Across the Country, for You to Joyride My Car. Small note, this happened in the UK. Friend of mine told me this story over the weekend. Now this guy has always been into classic cars. One is a permanent project, always in the garage, that he swears is always, almost, finished. The other he occasionally drives around in, to shows, on weekends etc. Well, he finally get the project car drivable and takes it to a show. It's super rare I guess, and attracts a lot of attention. He is part of several car clubs, they seems to be impressed as well, lots of photos etc. Show finishes and he ends up having to get it on a flat bed to take it home. But this seems to be a norm with these cars. Few weeks later, through one of the car club website, he gets a message. The guys tells him that the car used to belong to his granddad and asks if he could drive it one more time. My friend tells him that the car isn't really drivable, explains the problem, but he could push it onto the drive and let the old guy see it, sit in it. The apparently isn't good Enot calls my friend a liar and demands that he drive the car across the country to let his granddad drive it. Of course this is still a no, which only gets more hostility. Eventually this dude's account gets reported and banned. That might have been the end of it, but then he gets another message, from a new user wanting to buy his car. Wanting him to drive it to him, same part of the country as before surprise surprise, for a test drive. Banned. Then a third new account offering him some free bits for the car. Again he had to drive across country and had to bring the car. A couple of the guys thought it was a robbery attempt, but I still think it was a CB. My friend deactivates his account and doesn't plan to take his car anywhere anytime soon. The next story is titled M Thought She Would Own My Parents' House. My parents divorced when I was young. My dad remarried his mistress and my mom took off to another country. They would both provide money for us and mom would come and go. We all lived in the house our parents owned. A few years later the older siblings moved out leaving only my youngest brother who was 17 at the time. He had a girlfriend since he was 15 and she was 14. When he stayed living alone at 17, she basically moved in right away. Mom came home and kicked her out. So this girl's mom had a talk with my mom about getting the kids married already, since they seemed to be very in love and were together for 2 years already. Her idea was to do it while my brother was still a minor so there wouldn't be any issues when he turned 18 the next year. My mom told her it was crazy, and maybe they should break up and wait until she is 18, for them to go back together if they want to. Mom had to leave again, leaving my brother alone. 3 months later this lady moves into my parents' house, claiming it's abandoned since only a minor lives there and she was trying to change the bills to her name, and trying to convince neighbors to testify that she has lived there for years. My brother was young, dumb and felt lonely so he wouldn't say anything about it and just let it happen. My mom couldn't go right away so I had to step in. I had moved some states away. The entitlement on this woman amazes me to this day. I decided to move in. I took my old room back and my sister's room for my kids, leaving her and her kids without a place to stay but the living room. She broke some of my stuff. She attempted to yell at my babies, "Do not mess with my kids." She called the cops saying I was trespassing. She picked a fight with my neighbor when he got on my side with the police, and when she finally moved out she took some of my parents' stuff. She attempted to convince my brother to go with her. She knew I would leave eventually. She wanted to have my brother so she could move back in. He was so fed up with everything at that point, he just broke it off with the girl. I moved back to my husband's home state and my brother didn't allow any other girl to move in. He actually stayed single for a long while. Rumor has it, M did get her hands on some poor person's house and had to be kicked out by police eventually. The next story is titled Please Take Our Meth to Pay Our Rent. We need this apartment to cook our meth. Okay. So from 1987 to 1996 my wife and I did property management. In 1986 a Navy buddy and I bought this condemned apartment building by the beach, fixed it up, and began renting the units out. Things were good at first. Everything was newly renovated, so the apartments went for more compared to other units in the area. Keep in mind most of these units haven't been updated since the 1960s. Now here come the nightmare tenants from hell: Barbie girl and meth dealer boyfriend. Barbie girl was really pretty tall, blonde, and drove a hot blue Camaro. Meth dealer boyfriend was tall, had tattoos everywhere possible on his body, and had a tall mohawk. Barbie girl was just raving about the apartment and how she liked it because it was close to the beach. We look over things, she pays me 5 months rent and she moves all of her designer pink furniture in the unit. She was a good tenant at first, but then she called for me to make all kinds of upgrades to her apartment. In one case she wanted me to buy her a microwave which was super expensive at the time. Her reasoning was, the other apartment buildings throw in something when you put that much rent down, so I should get something more. 4 weeks passed, she kept calling for this and other things. I kept telling her no. She thought my no meant yes because she kept getting angry over stuff. I told her that I wasn't going to give her. She then filed a civil suit against me in court for the condition of her apartment. Her attorney took pictures, and it was trashed. She said, "He wants me to be homeless. Look at the condition of this place." I then show pictures of the unit before she gained possession of it and the contracting permit that shows that it was recently renovated. The judge ruled in my favor and the case is dismissed. 2 months of this and I have had enough, so I served them eviction papers when their lease is up for their Barbie girl, and now her boyfriend became an increasing problem. The boyfriend moves in and there isn't much I can do about it because their rent is paid for another 3 months. The boyfriend tries to better things with me, but I am very dismissive. A month and I get complaints of chemical smelling odors from the apartment and from the level that they were on. I went to investigate but smell or see nothing. No more complaints, so I continue for another 2 months disregarding it. Mid-July I'm just waiting for August so I can kick them out. At this point, I haven't seen Barbie girl in months, but her Camaro is still parked out front, so I think that she is in the unit living it up with her boyfriend. I again get complaints from several tenants about a chemical odor smell. A guy that was a mechanic said it smelt like batteries, which I agreed it did. I go over, knock on the door, and they don't let me in. I figure they're going to be gone so I can fix the problem later. Well, boyfriend moves his 70-year-old mom into the apartment close before the eviction date. Now in California, eviction and be delayed if a resident is over 65. He played the game so he can get another month for free. Mid-August the smell is so bad the tenants are complaining non-stop. I really need them to get out, so I hire a lawyer. He goes over the lease agreement and sees that the boyfriend isn't on the lease. Only Barbie girl is, and looking through this further we find that there is a missing persons report for Barbie girl. So, we do the logical thing, go to the LAPD, file a report for trespassing, and I give them the information that I haven't seen Barbie girl in months. They go in with a search warrant and Jesus H. Christ, the place looked it survived an atomic bomb. The pink furniture that Barbie girl had was brown with yellow stains on it. The paint had faded, and the wallpaper was peeling from the walls. Barbie girl became a withered, skinny mess. Her hair had white patches in it and her skin looked horrid. I assume she was using, and the cops found out she was. They get arrested, they are taken away, and the mom is put in a care facility. The apartment is sealed off with crime scene tape. I think they made bail because a title loan company came to pick up the Camaro and 8 days later, they came back. One of the tenants said that someone was messing with their apartment and it was them. I call the cops to kick them out. They're kicking and screaming about, how dare I kick them out of their home? And how they promised to be good and if I would take meth to pay rent. They proceeded to plead and beg, we need this apartment to cook our meth. Please take our meth, just one meth. They're taken away by the cops and I did hear from them again until a couple of weeks I didn't refund Barbie girl's security deposit and she was asking for it so she could get her Camaro back. I told her the apartment is costing around $8 grand to get fixed. She said on the jail phone, I can give you meth for my deposit? I hung up the phone and never heard from them again. Well, that is the awful experience that I had with the worst who thought they deserved the best. The next story is titled He Wanted to Be Paid to Take Days Off. I work at an office, and this happened a few days before Christmas break started. As parents, and even just as young working adults, we all want to get our Christmas vacation time to relax. My company gives everyone a bonus 3 vacation days every Christmas holiday, on top of the 3 weeks we get per year. It's very kind of them to do that for us. There are 3 characters, me, my boss, and the choosing beggar, who I will call CB. So CB is the type of guy who doesn't care much about anything except money. He's constantly asking for raises even though his work is crap, never brings any food to the party when we host special occasions, takes more than his share when coworkers bring in snacks and goodies, that kind of person. Another thing is that he was always taking days off. He blew all of his 3 weeks worth of vacation days back in February, and nowadays when he takes days off he just doesn't get paid. This still makes him angry, especially when he comes back to a lot of work needing to be done. This Christmas holiday, CB got especially snotty about Christmas vacations. He constantly talked to my boss about the Christmas vacations, and asked everyone else what they were gonna do on theirs. Not really against the rules, this was just a little uncomfortable. So one day I was walking to the little kitchen we've got in our office, and I walked past my boss's office and I heard, I don't want 3 days, I want all the days off." It was CB's voice. I knew he was probably chewing my boss out for more vacation days, and it wasn't really my business, so I just walked off. Well, a few hours later, it was everyone's business. CB kept walking up to people and complaining about his vacations. Everyone else had saved their vacation days especially for this time of year, and when CB heard they had enough to take an entire week off, he didn't care that they'd saved their vacation days. He marched to my boss's office and started demanding more vacation days. I think in the end my boss just told him, "Take the days off if you want," because the office was a lot quieter after that. So CB came back to work after leaving the office for 2 weeks and he looked really mad. I knew that my boss had emailed everyone their paychecks over the holidays, so I was guessing it had something to do with that. My boss's office is just a few doors down, and if you yell everyone can hear you. Which was why the entire office heard their conversation. It went like this. CB. Dude, you owe me money. I'm gonna sue you for not paying me. Boss. I already mailed you your check. CB. You mailed me half. You're trying to stiff me. Boss. I paid you everything for all the time you've worked. CB. No, I calculated it all, and it's missing roughly 4 months of pay. Boss. Since you took the days off, I didn't pay you. For the holiday season, one paid you half for every single day you took off, and I wasn't supposed to do that. You actually got an extra week of paid vacation day. That's privilege. CB. Well, it's not enough. That extra 4 months had better be in my account by next week or I'm reporting you. What happened next was something pretty shocking. By now everyone's heads were poking out of their offices, listening in, and who could blame them? To everyone's surprise, my boss didn't fire the guy. He just said, "I don't owe you money for time you haven't worked. If you want, I'll take out that extra week's pay." CB stormed out of my boss's office, ignored everyone watching him, and left. I haven't seen him since, and I'm not sure if he's taking more vacations or finding a new job. My boss said he hadn't officially quit, but we're still waiting to see. Basics. Selfish CB wastes all vacation days, keeps taking them anyways, and demands to be paid. The next story is titled "Serious Begging Going On." There's this girl on a few of my FB groups that constantly posts that she has need. I do post to these groups when I'm giving something away. Look, I'm always willing to help, but after seeing her posts pop up daily to weekly, thanks to FB who sends me notifications that she has posted because I've interacted with her in the past, I've clued in a few people who I know that have responded to her. Every day she posts she doesn't have enough food to make it through the month until she gets her next check. Everyone makes her a bag, I'm talking like 20 people, and then are forced to drop it off to her because she doesn't drive. Weekly, she is looking for free clothes. This week it is spring and summer clothes. She posted she needs size 9 sneakers because she doesn't have any and can't get to the doctors. No one actually responded to her post. So, this week she's looking for spring, summer clothes. Then I get another notification and go check it out. Says she's 17 weeks pregnant with a boy and needs everything that people are giving away. So this is all well and good. However, within a few days of giving her food or clothing, it is posted in Marketplace for sale. I cannot believe the audacity of her. I really want to report her, but at this point the slight enjoyment I'm getting is worth just sending a screenshot to people who reply. I'm really sorry for her. However, if you are asking for handouts, you do not ever put them up for sale in places you think people won't look. When I dropped off stuff to her house in the beginning, I saw that her house is in a well-defined neighborhood and is very well kept. She leads you to believe she lives in a trailer. People have paid for vet appointments for her cat, given her cash and gift cards and, of course, the item she is seeking. This is about ridiculous. I hate that people are being taken advantage of for their generosity. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.